when people say like, "Oh, get into One Piece, it gets good after 300 episodes," they mean you get to this arc after 300 episodes.
Since the last time we've done this, welcome, winners. Welcome to the Wrong Button Podcast, the show where we talk all things nerd, most things video games, and right now I'm chomping at the bit to talk some One Piece.
Yep.
I've been talking a lot of Star Wars, and One Piece has been, like, eating at the back of my brain. Like, you love Star Wars, but damn, this One Piece thing is really good.
Yeah. One Piece was crazy good this week, huh? I say that as if there was a chapter of the manga this week.
Yeah, you guys are on a hiatus for... So you said, hey, you should start reading it. Mm-hmm. And I think it's available for free on my Kindle.
It might be.
Amazon Prime. So the only... Just to like let the winners know, I have now had one manga that I have kept up with before the show, and that is Kaiju number 8.
Yeah.
And if I talk you into it, maybe at the end of the season, we'll do a, manga reader versus anime watcher podcast, because this will be a whole new experience for me. Whereas for you, I think the only time this would happen would be Gundam.
Probably, yeah. Probably.
Anywho. One Piece.
We
fell out of the sky.
Yep.
And we landed at it's the G8 fortress, right?
Yes, G8. And this is an anime only arc, but it's also the fan favorite anime only arc.
I can see that, because this felt like I don't know, and maybe you have this, and I can also just look this up because I do have the World Wide Web. This feels like, hey, we haven't shown anything in a while, so we're going to put out this arc and we're going to recap what all the characters are good at.
Yeah, that could be like one interpretation of it. It's also just sort of like a very kind of fun kind of romp through this military fortress that we have to basically get back to our ship and all that, basically. But, like, shenanigans ensue. So it's not too
I do
serious.
Want to make one correction there. They have to get back to the Mary.
I said the Mary.
You said the ship.
Yeah, the Mary is the ship.
But this is going to come into play later on, because I started... Mark, I had a neurotic moment in the middle of trying not to cry through Water 7.
Yep.
At an airport gate.
Yeah. Also, just doing this very early on, but I'm calling you out. I told you specifically not to watch any of this material in public, and you did it anyway. And I'm just like, what are you doing? We're gonna stare at you.
In my defense, it's really good.
It is very, very good, but also, goddamn, it'll turn you into a wreck. And people will, like, kind of look at you like, dude, are you good? What is going on?
Oh, yeah, then they see what I'm looking at on my phone, and they kind of walk away from me, and it gets real fun.
Yeah.
So they get to G8. I actually like how this... Because it felt like it took 2 to 3 episodes per person, where, like, Sanji and Luffy end up, like, falling in with the cooks.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be the Marley brothers, these world-famous chefs. And Sanji's like, I'm the chef, he's just a taster.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that they beat the pants off of every chef, like, making
using
really
just,
good
like, leftovers.
It highlights Sanji's principle of we don't waste food.
Yeah. It's really good. Sanji in this arc is, like, very good. And very funny.
And I love that he hits on, like, the he was just a captain, right? The guy in charge, he wasn't an admiral.
I think he was just a captain.
Hits on his wife.
Yeah.
And shout out to the guy who's like, I don't like broccoli or carrots or any of this stuff. And then his wife sitting there and watching him like eat your vegetables.
Yeah.
Usopp and Robin. I like how Robin impersonates a member of the investigation committee.
Yeah. Doesn't she say, it's been a while, but like, doesn't she say that like Usopp disguised as a Marine? She's just like, yeah, I don't recognize you at all.
She throws him under the bus every chance she can. It is so good.
Yeah, it's great. Especially like for this part of the story. You'll see like later on this probably would not work if this arc was done later.
Yeah, and then she also gets him like thrown in the brig with Zoro, along with the vice admiral who comes to inspect on things.
Right.
That one was good. Have to shout out also the Chopper Nami portion of this arc.
I love Chopper's whole disguise. I think he has my favorite disguise of this arc.
Oh God, yes. And I like that So I thought his hands did change into hands at points in times, don't they?
I'm pretty sure they do. For certain, like,
but he never used his hands.
It's weird.
He made the other the doctor who was Dr. Kabato, he made her do like all the surgeries and stuff, which was good because this was supposed to show Chopper himself becoming like this confident, like, I'm gonna take charge, I'm gonna step up, and I'm going to hold up my values, like my Hippocratic oath, and you're going to save these people. Yeah, Luffy, everyone ends up in jail. They get out a couple times. And the old man who comes... The other point of this arc, I thought, was kind of be like, hey, guys, do you like the going Mary? And we're like, yeah. Hey, you need to take care of her. And I'm going to tell Usopp how to take care of her. Like, kid, I know you put a lot of love into her, but,
she's not going to sail that much longer if you keep it up like that. You got to take care of the Mary.
And I was like, okay. And... Yeah, they get out. You're right. It was shenaniganry. There wasn't a lot to talk about other than the fact that I love that, the captain is like... I love the fact that these famous people came in here. Now they have to keep this base open because the vice admiral was there to close it down and be like, nope, we're not going to use it. And he's like, look at the morale of our people. Like, these pirates, like, damn, are they pirates? But are they son of a bitch? They do good work.
Yeah. That they just bring joy to people. It's great. How could you hate them?
And I love the fact that it's still, like, Luffy just believes in everyone. Like, someone could come up... he does that with, oh, God, what's the kid's name from the very beginning that I just lost his name?
Kobe?
Yeah, Toby, right?
Kobe.
Obi. Being like, I want to be a great Marine. He's like, yeah, you should, dude. You'd be a great, great Marine. It's like, we'll be natural enemies. He goes, yeah, but you're cool, and you should follow your dream.
Yeah. Luffy is encouraging to, like, pretty much everybody.
Such a... God, I love him so much. He's so great.
He is extremely good. You can't hate Luffy.
Not at all. And then I think the next one... Go ahead.
He just has, like, a good, like, kind of philosophy on life. Even though I'm pretty sure he doesn't know what the meaning of the word philosophy even is.
No, but you do know what Luffy knows? He knows the power of a fro.
Yes, he does.
And that gets us to the Long Ring, Long Land, Long Island arc.
Yes.
Which, guys, to reestablish, Mark, you have read the manga.
Yeah.
I have only watched the anime.
Yeah, so I am aware just how, I don't want to say it's like butchered, but it's elongated artificially in the anime quite a bit.
The like the long arc is, as name implies, just a little too long for its own good.
Doesn't help that like we're now very much in the part where the anime just does one chapter per episode, so it's really kind of a hard pill to swallow. It's better in the manga. I'm sorry.
It's so I said this in the beginning, is like I kind of want to give this one a compliment sandwich, right?
Yeah.
So the Foxy Pirates, top tier name. I even messaged you like, I want to be a Foxy Pirate. We should all be a Foxy Pirate.
Wear the little masks.
The length of the arc, dear God, you guys, like,
yeah,
this is bad.
I even like told you, look, the third and fourth game that they play in this arc, that is anime only filler. You can skip that and go straight to the fifth game that they do.
And then the final part of that compliment sandwich is they take Chopper first because of how damn cute he is.
Yeah. Which, I mean,
I
like,
saw that.
they're
I was
correct, like... but, like, come on, don't separate the little kid from his family. Come on.
It was like, objectively, wow, you guys are monsters. You're right, but you're monsters. And I guess I'll ask you this now. Does the Davy back fight get brought up anywhere else?
So, it hasn't really. I think there might be, like, a filler arc when it, like, comes back up, but in terms of, like, actual canon One Piece, no. However, a lot of people, kind of myself included, really want to believe that at the end of the series, instead of having like a huge like climactic fight between the Straw Hats and like our final antagonist pirate crew, it's just a Davy back fight instead for the One Piece. I think that would just be fucking funny, and I would love that.
And when they brought it up, I thought it was a really interesting idea of like, nope, we have a pirate code. This is how we do fighting, instead of just like, I guess they kind of want to avoid killing each other because Luffy hasn't killed anybody yet, has he?
Maybe like during Skypiea. I know for a fact, not for Arlong, not for Crocodile. I think I'd have to like go back to Skypiea, but I don't think he kills anybody then.
I mean, I know Robin murks some people.
Oh, sure. Yeah, definitely.
She is a cold-blooded killer. Love them both.
Yeah.
And right before this one, is it right before this, where we go back to Bellamy? Right before this. So they get to Long Island. They find an old guy on stilts. They find a lot of really old or long fruit. The long dog that's... Is that the same dog? I love those bits and gags.
The dachshund?
The dachshund. The long kiwi, which is related to catnip. Like, I googled that. You know, that's actually true. It's in like the same...
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like, yeah... It's like pot's in the same like species or phylum, whatever the higher one is.
Interesting.
Species is the lowest. Yeah. Thank you, spouse. Yeah. So it goes down the list there, and it's like kingdom or classification then, because Sanji uses that a little bit later on, but he's been walking on bamboo stilts for 10 years. Because he wants to be the first person. He wants to get the highest in the world, I think. Yep.
Which, it's gonna suck when he hears about giants.
They didn't mention Skypiea to him, so I'm like, okay, good. Don't crush his dreams right away. Like, dude, you have no idea.
Yeah.
You learn about the island, how the villagers have to move, how he's been stuck there, but his horse stays with them.
Yeah.
They get down, and then the foxy pirates show up,
and
part of me wants to be. They take the horse, yeah. And part of me, everyone's like, they trick the One Piece crew, the Straw Hat crew, into this fight, and it's like, no, they didn't. He just did it, and Luffy said, okay.
Yeah,
there was no tricking.
Luffy just thought like it sounded like fun, so. And honestly, that's all you really need. You just need something that sounds fun for Luffy to be on board with it.
Yeah.
Either that or rabbit milk meat.
So that starts, and I think before we actually get into it, like when they're building it, is when we go back to Mocktown, and we see Bellamy. And Bellamy's like, "No, I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna get the Straw Hat crew." And he's like, "Man, you have no idea." And then Don Quixote shows up.
Yeah. I forgot about this part, by the way.
And he's
interesting, isn't he?
He is. So one, I do think that he is just a Jojo character. And I love him, and I love the fact that he's called a
Don Quixote do Flamingo.
Yeah. Two, I'm here for the sunglasses and the off pink coloring from like his. I think they're like tiger stripe shorts. They might not be, but those, and then like the pink flamingo, like the flamingo pink feather scarf.
Yes, I love it. He's fabulous, and I'm here for him.
And I can't remember what he does to, but so Bellamy, no, he makes Bellamy like kill his first mate, or his first mate kill Bellamy.
No, you had it right the first time. Bellamy kills the first mate, because Bellamy ain't dead. Wait.
And it was. Because it was one of those things where it's just like, well, if you want to like earn your place back, like kill him. You guys are weak. Why should I have you around? And I'm like, I don't know if it's that they were weak or that Luffy was. And then he just, and I don't know if it was a devil fruit power. I don't know what he has yet. And I've avoided going in to look up more about him because I know he's a bigger thing later.
He is a much bigger threat later. Way later.
Is he a 7 Warlord of the Sea?
He is. I'm pretty sure they established that like around like Skypiea. But yeah, Don Quixote do Flamingo is a warlord. Okay.
Because when we get to it later, I'm gonna ask you about the other guy. Because so we get back to the fights. So we go back to Luffy. And it was like capture the flag, super stupid soccer.
It was like a
relay race.
Yeah, and then a relay race. I think that one, the relay race is anime only. We didn't get that in the manga.
So that's the one where Sanji, because they're facing a cheetah and the cheetah's going to win it for him. Sanji goes and cuts down a kiwi tree because the cheetah's like super about Luffy because Luffy was like eating a ton of kiwi earlier.
Right.
And that's when I started looking that up. So that happens, and shout out to the cheating. With the refs.
Yeah, the refs being on Foxy's side. Very,
and
very
I like
good.
how it's like he ate the ball. Nope, that's the last rule in the book. It's like, who thought of this?
Yeah, look, I don't make the rules. I just come up with them and then enforce them.
Well, because it was the ref that was obviously biased, and then it was
Yeah.
like, no, these are refs from the official dodgeball world league, and they have badges.
Yeah. Which, I mean, if you were gonna, like, win anything in a prior Davey Back fight, it may as well be the rule makers.
I loved that. Then we get back to the barrel race, which I think it was like Usopp's who won because he had this like really simple design.
Usopp's like whole like barrel boat race, he lost because of Foxy's devil fruit. Remember?
The slow beam or the slow beam?
Pretty much. He ate the slow fruit, so he can like basically shoot beams out of his hands that makes anything like go in slow motion. Which in a race,
like
that's
60
amazing.
seconds.
Yeah.
Or 30 seconds, something to two.
But for something like a race, that's actually like an insane power to have.
It was really cool, and I like that it's like he activates it almost by doing like bunny ears.
Yeah, like kind of like
And
shadow puppet
almost,
hands.
Yeah, like you would do like the dogs when you were a kid, but not the good one, like the bad one, the first one.
Yeah.
And so this now brings up the question, right? DBZ, you have to say Gallic Gun, and then Kamehameha. Naruto, you have to say Rasengan when you hit somebody with it.
Right.
Luffy says, Gum Gum Pistola or anything like that. To activate it, does he need to say it? Because
I don't think so. I think it's just sort of like anime tradition. What can you do?
Okay. Because, like, Foxy looks like he has to make the gestures, and so I was like, can you, like, if you Makan Kosapo it, can you, like, fire a super concentrated long distance? Like, I have questions now about your ability.
Yeah.
But
I do like Foxy's
in doing so, I love that Robin and Chopper are the two that get taken because it's like, well, Robin's really smart and she's really hot, and then Chopper's really adorable, and the second Robin gets taken, Portia's like, I hate her guts, I want her off our crew.
Pretty much.
It's like, so she feels threatened.
Yeah. I mean, if I were a woman in the One Piece world standing next to Nico Robin, then, like, I would probably be like, one of us is the prettier one, and it's not me.
And can we talk about, because I messaged you, can we talk about Robin's new look?
Oh, Robin's fit in, like, every arc, like, serves cunt, honestly. I love it.
I love it so much. I don't know if it's a romper or what it is, but it's just a really good, like...
Yeah.
And then it gives her the, like, do you want to accessorize with the cowboy hat like we saw you, or do you not? Both looks work, honey. You can do both.
Yeah.
So we go through those. Chopper has his breakdown because he's been captured. He doesn't want to be a part of this crew. And was it Zoro's like, hey, I need you to man up for a second. You need to believe in your captain. You need to be brave.
Right.
Because when Luffy wins, he's like, hey, I want the horse back. And he goes and gives the horse to the old man. He's like, this is what we said we were going to do first, Chopper. You knew that when we signed up.
Right. It's a good, like, gesture from Luffy. Plus, like, at the end of the day, you do kind of know that, like, Chopper and Robin are both going back to Luffy anyways.
I don't know that, Mark. I had, like, 3 episodes of separation anxiety coming up.
I mean, at the very least, Chopper had his mom for those 3 episodes.
Oh my! I love that she just like I got lollipops, and they go buy like caramel corn together. I could go for like a supercut of just Robin and Chopper.
Oh, there already is. Hang on,
there is?
Let me send you the supercut of like Robin being Chopper's mom.
Okay. Well, because before
adorable.
that, it might even be after that where like something's happening on another boat, and it's Chopper's asking questions, and Robin's like, "Do you not want to play games with me, Chopper?"
Oh.
And he's like, "No, I want to play games with you. Like, I'd rather be doing this." Or he's like making medicine and like talking to her, and then like occasionally looks up. Their relationship, Chopper is still my favorite. If I get a One Piece tattoo, it will be something Chopper related. And I'm not
Fair
even
enough.
like a doctor. He doesn't fit my personality at all. I'm gonna pull this up over here. Yeah, that's the exact thing where I'm talking about too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so adorable. And kudos to Robin for always calling Chopper doctor. Like, I absolutely adore that. Wait, he analyzes her for her weak point? Tell me it's her heart. Tell me it's her heart. Oh no. Nope. She tickles him before he can find out. I don't know about that scene yet, so I'm gonna stop.
I'm pretty sure that was her introduction.
Oh, maybe that was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's when
That was.
she first meets him, because that's like how she wins him over.
Or when she's making antlers on Luffy's head. Thank you for enjoying our Nico, Robin, and Chopper appreciation part of this podcast.
Yeah. It will happen again.
Anyway, so Luffy ends up winning. I do like the fact that the final thing is a boxing match.
Yes.
And it's also Luffy goes, "Hey, look at the power level of my crew based on, what we're all wanted for, right? The berry power level.
Yep.
Join us, and if you beat me, you get all of it." And then Usopp, they're like, "Okay, you get one team member who gets to be a hype man, and you get and it has to be captain versus captain."
Yes.
So Usopp goes as a hype man, and they have to go get dressed for this boxing match.
Yep.
And he gets gloves. Here are your shorts.
Yep.
I like that they wrap the feet. Good job on wrapping the feet. And then
Luffy,
Usopp finds...
We get the strongest form of Luffy in the entire series.
And I like the fact that the only one who doesn't get it is Nami. Everyone else in the show gets it.
Yep.
But not Nami. Like, if Goku would have had an afro, the Goku, like, Beerus the Destroyer would have died. If Luffy would have shown up for that fight and been like, "Hey, I know you're gonna do the whole Super Saiyan God thing. Give me a second. Put this on." It wouldn't have been a fight.
Yeah. Naruto versus Sasuke would have ended in a snap of the fingers if Naruto had an afro. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Any fight, like, "Sasuke, I need you to stop." Sasuke's gonna get uppity. He just puts it on. "Okay, I'll stop." Okay, that's what I thought. It's just Nami's like, "What is this dumbness?" And like Sanji like looks at her, goes, "It's a fro. Like, do you not understand how powerful they are?" She's like, "No, this doesn't make sense. Literally, this makes no sense." And we were in the sky.
Yeah. The best part being that like Luffy literally does win because of the afro.
Well, and I think it was there's like it might have been like a filler episode later where he puts it on and Nami takes it off of him like, no, we're not doing this again. But wins the fight. He gets the entire crew except for Portia and the giant monkey.
Yeah.
And gets his crew back. And then he's literally like, "Hey, guess what? All of you guys, you're all fired. I don't want you on my crew. These 5 people get to stay."
Hold on, because there is like one joke we kind of skipped earlier, but like...
Ooh, which joke?
For the kind of like soccer match with Zoro and Sanji that they end up winning. It's
Uh-huh.
like all the Straw Hats minus Chopper are basically like, okay, we can take anybody. We can like get Chopper back, or actually, what if we take Foxy, their captain, so that way they're all like very demoralized and everything, and they probably will just give up after that. But then they thought about it and they were just like, wait, that means we'd have to have Foxy on the crew. And they were just like, you know what? No, y'all can keep Foxy. I love that joke so much. The fact that they just don't want to deal with Foxy after this arc.
Well, it's like at one point he's fighting them and Nami goes, "Oh my god, Foxy, you're such a sexy silver fox." And it's like stupid ugly, and it's just him going up and down the entire time.
Yeah.
This arc had a lot of... This arc was my Saturday. It was like, hey, you know what? You've been through a lot. We've seen some ups. We've seen some downs. We've had the like really serious arc, the traditional pirate arc, a little bit of filler to let you get back to here. You know what? This was...
Have
hey,
some
Chris,
fun before you get to the trauma part.
here's your Saturday morning cartoons that you were asking for. I was like, could have been a little bit less of that. And it's like, really? You've been asking for it for like 6 podcasts now and 300 episodes. So they win the 500 crew, they kick them all off, but they take their flag, and then Luffy makes them sail with his terrible... It looks almost like a white panther instead of a fox.
A little bit, yeah.
And like, it's just like, nope, sail off with that. And they're like, no, this is really embarrassing. And he's like, but you have to. And then he gives their flag to the old man and goes, they will never bother you again. Like, you now hold this power over them.
Yeah. It's good. And the arc isn't technically over yet, because we still have one more character that we haven't mentioned yet that makes his debut here.
This was terrifying. So
you were like, oh, I wanted like my little Saturday morning cartoon, and then you're just like, this is scary now.
So we get to... They get to an island. I can't remember if it's like the island is like really like frozen or cold or something weird.
Right.
Oh, and they find a shipwreck. It was a traveling galley shipwreck. And they find people on this island. They find a little kid, leads them to people. And then they're like, oh, but there's this, we thought we saw somebody, this weird guy like riding a bike on the ocean.
Yep.
And Nico freaks out. And I've seen her kind of do the whole like, I'm ready to die, it's okay, I can die thing. But she like panic attacks.
Yes, she does. And there is a very, very big reason behind that we will get to in the next podcast episode.
We're not going to continue talking about Koichi?
No, we can still talk about him, but like the reason why like she like stumbles down, basically.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was like we totally keep talking about him because we wander with them and we find this guy in a field who I was a little creeped out by because he just says things that are a little off.
Right.
And they like wake him up from a nap and he's like he's
kind
like
of lackadaisical a little bit.
But it sounded like he was trying to be really like it almost felt like creepy because he was like, Robin, you've grown. And I'm like, yo, dude, that sounds like you were 30 and hitting on a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
That's really creepy.
That's uncomfortable.
But knowing what I know from what happens later on in the
Water 7 arc.
In the Water 7 arc, yeah, I'm like, okay, that comment now in context, a lot less creepy. I don't have to, because you're like, I like him. I'm like, I hate him. He's a despicable, horrible creature who is
I love
in his
to
30s.
Hate him, but like, I get you.
Yeah, he wasn't this terrible, horrible thing. He was speaking from like the last time I saw you, like, oh, what do you say to a kid when you see them and they're 4, then you see them when they're like 13? Like, wow, you've really grown up, because like out of context could sound creepy. In context, oh, and that's why I think why people always go, I remember when you were yay high. It makes it sound a lot less creepy that I'm commenting on how much a child has grown.
Yes. But basically, this is Aokiji, and he has a ice devil fruit, which turns him into ice, which is how he was like able to basically bike on the water, basically.
Which is really cool.
I love his little bike.
His it's so cheesy and weird. My question here though is, what are there are types of devil fruits again, right?
So there's Logia, which is what Aokiji has, that basically turn your body into a specific element, a la like Avatar: The Last Airbender, but not restricted to just 4 elements.
And that's also what Luffy has.
No. Luffy has a Paramecia fruit, which is sort of like the other category, basically. And then, like, the third category is Zoan, which lets you turn yourself into an animal. That is what Chopper has.
And we'll get to it later, but Zoan, I think the comment was made that it is the most powerful?
No. The most powerful is considered to be Logia right now.
Okay. This could also just be a throwaway line from one of the villains. I just clicked over to make sure I knew what I was talking about when I was looking at the
One Piece power scaling is weird, is what you're going to learn pretty soon.
What? Yeah, I accidentally watched a fight because I wanted to see Gear 5 transformation.
Yeah.
But so Luffy sits there and goes, "Hey, you're scaring my friend. Dude, we're going to throw down." And Aokiji just goes, "Yeah, sure, we can do that."
And then he just kind of bodies Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji, basically.
Freezes them inside and out. For those of you people who don't know science, one of the biggest issues that we have right now with like, hey, why don't we just put people in cryostasis like in science fiction movies, and we do the amniotic fluid and we freeze them? It's because at a certain temperature, your cells will rupture because you're made of water. And you'll pretty much have gangrene, because I think that's the thing that causes the stuff that holds your cells together.
Yep.
Like, that'll happen for everything, and you will thaw into the soup that is the thawing liquid.
Yes. So that's why we can't just all Futurama ourselves right now.
I did not know what to expect during that fight, because, like, Luffy does an attack, and I couldn't tell if Aokiji was just trying to be like, hey, man, you don't know what you're up against, and you're way out of your depth.
Yep.
Because like he freezes himself solid, gets shattered by Luffy, and then is just a mist cloud behind him. And it doesn't do a lot to explain his powers. That's
kind of more or less how a lot of Logias actually do work. Like, I think like Crocodile also does this from time to time, but basically your body, like if you eat the ice fruit like Aokiji does, you become ice, and you can basically replace parts of your body with just ice. And because it's so cold on the island, being able to replace part of yourself with ice, not that hard.
And it was one of those things where he sits there and, like, you know, he has this fight. he beats the crew. Like he sits there and like he in essence is like, no, I'm killing Robin now. This is how this is ending. And they have to go thaw Robin.
Yeah.
And like Chopper's like, no, we need to do this slowly. You don't understand. Like he's like, you can't use hot water. You have to assess it, like almost like sous vide her, where you like slowly raise the temperature and allow it to fall naturally, because she could crack. It was such a harrowing experience to watch that, because I know the show's over 1,000 episodes, but I couldn't imagine watching this in 2004 and being like, fuck.
Is this where like half of the crew dies or something? Yeah. Nowadays,
are we gonna need to Dragon Ball them
just,
back?
Yeah. Nowadays, the promotional art just spoils everything, but whatever. But like, you still like kind of feel like, oh, one misstep could have resulted in like most of our crew dying, basically.
And then I think he sits there and says, hey guys, you know what, you guys have Robin with you, she'll kill you guys, don't worry about it, I'm gonna let you go. Shows you the true like width and breadth of his power as he goes, hey, I'm gonna get you guys to another inhabited island, and looks at the crew and then like holds his hand on the ocean, which I'm presuming is salt water, and freezes it solid in a natural land bridge.
Yep.
And he's like, I think he says like it's a couple miles, so you guys have to keep a good pace, but you can still rest at night and even start a fire out there, but it will be cold. You changed a climate.
Yep.
Like he monster huntered the ocean.
He pretty much did.
And then Smoker has a message for Luffy, and I remember that, but he says it would be too confusing. I really want Smoker to come back. I think he's my favorite Marine.
Ooh.
For no other point than the fact that he's like, do you want to be a pirate? Fight me.
Yeah, Smoker is like very interesting. You'll see him again, I'll guarantee you that.
From what I heard, I was in a good spot to not watch the live action because of how they jumble some things and like get to certain places.
They do. They do quite a bit. If you watched the live action, then there are like certain aspects that like you weren't like supposed to know until like around now, so to speak.
But I think even Koichi comments on Monkey D. Luffy. And I know Rustage, who does, for those of you guys who don't know, I'm a massive anime weeb rap thing. He does and I haven't listened to it yet because I didn't want to spoil myself, but I know he does a fantastic, like the lore of D or the name of D or the legend of D rap, where he talks about the importance of it.
I think you should be able to watch it, but like not get spoiled, because what he's talking about is the will of D, and I don't really consider this a spoiler, but we still don't know what the hell the will of D actually is.
If it was the will of S, we'd probably say it was a Saiyan thing, because that's what it kind of sounds like.
Yeah, a little bit. But nope, will of D.
It's your D. It's your pride in your D, not your pride in your Saiyan heritage. There's my joke.
One of us would have to make it eventually.
Yep. So, yeah, and I think everyone... and Zoro makes the comment, like, Luffy has now fought someone so much outside of his class that he's now stronger for it, which I like that trope.
Yeah. It's great, because I think, like, up till now, it's just sort of been, I think, just Don Krieg and Crocodile who have really, like, pushed Luffy to, like, his limit.
Yeah. I'm very curious to see what... because I know what Gear 5 is,
Mm-hmm.
which has nothing to do with Gears of War. Go figure. And for me, it's kind of like it almost makes sense in the same way of the way I'm seeing Luffy go, and this is just my prediction. As we, cause I know I've heard about the gear system already,
Mm-hmm.
and I've heard about, is it Mantra?
Yes, you have heard
It's
about Mantra.
it's Mantra, gear, and something else, right?
There is a secret third thing that I'm not going
And
to
I don't know
say
that
right
one.
now. Yes.
But it's almost, I think, and my prediction is like Luffy going forward when he's not fighting people, by going, Super Saiyan gear mode.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of going to be like Goku in the hyperbolic chime chamber during the Cell arc, where he's
Right.
like, no, we need to be strong in this lower form, because if we're
Mm-hmm.
strong here, it's only going to make us exponentially stronger in the other forms.
Right. That's true.
Next arc, really quick one, Ocean Dreams arc. Hey, everyone forgot who they were.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Amnesia arc. I'm pretty sure this was an arc that was kind of more or less invented to like because it like airs on like Japanese television first. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
had like never watched One Piece before, instead of like going back and trying to watch all of those episodes, trying to get like the DVD box sets or whatever, you could just watch like this like amnesia arc where everybody goes over, oh right, you're Zoro, you are a sword fighter and want to be the world's greatest swordsman, and that like catches you up to speed more or less on like who the characters are and like what their shtick is.
I
Which
did like how Robin was awake for it all.
mhm. I'm glad
It,
like
it was cool.
yeah, I'm glad she was like the one who like was not affected by it.
And then to the other comment, oh, our captain will always be who he is, no matter, like, his
Mm-hmm.
core is so crystallized within him
Mm-hmm.
that it doesn't matter that he lost his memories. He's still the same person.
Yep.
And then same for Zoro, same for Sanji, and
Mm-hmm.
Nami felt a little bit like, for hers, it almost felt a little bit like she was going back to pre what we know about her after Arlong Park.
Mm-hmm.
Nami, where it's just like gold, gold. I don't think it actually hinted that she's like, I need to do this to save my. It might have done something with the island,
Maybe.
but yeah.
Again, this
Uh,
arc it's inoffensive. Like if you haven't like started watching One Piece and this was the arc that you started on, you'd like get what the characters are about before it like goes into some very 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 character heavy stuff in the next arc.
yeah. But you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations. It was an evil Sea King Pokemon that was doing it.
Yep.
Because he wanted to be a dragon,
Mm-hmm.
and they defeated him.
Hooray.
Also, it looks like Zoro kills Luffy, but Luffy got his head stuck. And I think Zoro hit his head and got his memory back prematurely, too, when he was coming back. And he was just supposed to be so angry. Uh, it was, you're right, inoffensive, but also just a weird... Does this happen in every anime? Like, every shonen?
Like an amnesia arc?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Amnesia arcs in shonen...
Trying to think.
In
I
Shonen Jump series.
I don't think this happens in Dragon Ball in terms of like filler arcs that are about amnesia. Don't think it happens in Hero Academia either for its fillers. I know it doesn't happen in Demon Slayer because that show does not have any fillers. Good for it. I think I don't think it happens in Jojo either, because that anime also technically doesn't have any filler. But I know there has been amnesia in Jojo before, but it's just kind of It's just sort of the entire point of the arc, more or less.
That's fair. Can I skip that as like the number one thing on Reddit for One Piece for 5 months ago for someone who just started watching it? All right.
Yeah. Pretty much, like, I would say, like, if you're, like, just watching through One Piece, like, on Crunchyroll or whatever, then, yeah, this arc, you can skip it, because you already know, like, what the characters are about, and the events aren't, like, don't matter that much, and it's not that funny.
Oh, was the Foxy Return arc a filler arc too?
There is an arc that's filler where Foxy does show back up. I will say that.
Yeah. I watched that. They rescue him. They get to the sexy Foxy. They give him all back. And it almost felt like they were gonna do another set of Davy back fights, and then like somebody frees them, and I think it's Nami. Like she does her Nami thing and stops that from happening.
Yeah.
And we are incredibly happy for that.
Yes.
And
that being said, I do want like a canon Davy back fight again, though. But yeah.
For as big of a deal as they made it, and the fact that everyone else in the crew kind of knew about it, I was kind of hoping you were going to be like, oh, don't worry, you're going to get some really crazy ones. It's kind of sad that it feels like it was a one-off thing, and it was like he wanted to make a sports, and like from what I've heard from people who like One Piece, is that occasionally Oda's just like, hey, you know what I want to do? I want to make a sports anime.
Yeah.
Like, go make a sports anime. He goes, I did.
I did. It was in One Piece for one arc. But, yeah. Nowadays, it seems like... Because I know there's, like, a bunch of, like, AUs for One Piece, like, kind of officially. And, like, some of them are alternate universe, so it, like, kind of imagines, like, all of the characters as, like, different things. Like, I know there's, like, a Detective Luffy one, and, like, a high school One Piece, like, kind of official manga.
Oh, I thought that was for the ramen.
What?
I thought that was just a ramen commercial.
Oh, no, there's actually, like, a little, like, short manga about it.
Oh, I want to read that.
And probably, like, the most well-known one is that the writer for Shokugeki no Soma, or Food Wars, made a spin-off that's about Sanji. Which I think is, like, just fantastic. I want to read it, because, like, obviously I'm a Sanji simp, so kind of a crime that I haven't done it already.
I'm excited for like Sanji to not, because I know you've said like, hey, don't worry, Sanji kind of becomes somebody. Mm-hmm. I'm incredibly excited to finally get there, because the next arc, which is the Water 7 arc, is where I kind of feels like we're going to start to get that, and then there are just a couple points where it's like, no. And I'm like, come on, you were so close, Sanji. You're right there. Just a little bit further. Just a little bit further. And it just doesn't happen.
Right. But don't worry, like, Sanji has, like, his highs and lows throughout the series. We're about to get into, like, some highs for Sanji, though. Don't worry.
And just to reiterate how we started this podcast, holy shit, are you right? Does this, like, fuck it. Well, don't watch the beginning of One Piece. Just watch this arc. You won't have a lot of idea of what's going on, but you'll pick up on it pretty quick.
Yep. So Water 7, probably my favorite arc of One Piece.
I can see that.
Yep.
We start off by finding the station master, because they run into a train that's going across the water.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, cool concept.
Exactly. Like, honestly, I love trains. Like, all you have to do to, like, give me, like, a good anime arc is just to insert a train into it. Like...
Train heists are always cool, though. Like, because even... And that's where I stopped at. So, for those of you guys who are wondering, we're going to start off at, G8, and we're going to get to a train job. So shout out to anyone who's watched Firefly. We're going to end off at the end of that episode. We met Kokoro and the granddaughter Chimney. And
her little bunny.
Pet rabbit that acts like a cat.
Pretty much.
Right away, like, we met Kokoro and I was like, what demons are you? Because she has a drinking problem.
She definitely does.
And it's like, I'm here with my granddaughter, and the granddaughter's like, don't worry, she always drinks like this. And people comment on it, and I was like, okay, we know alcoholism's a thing.
Yep.
And I think Sanji says we all deal with things differently. And as a guy who, like, smokes, I totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
And we learn about Puffing Tom, which is the name of the train. Mm-hmm. And that giant frog. And I can't remember that frog's name, but it also, like, has an afro.
Yes. He has also achieved the peak form.
And I really like. And all I know is that the frog tries to fight the train. Luffy tries to save the frog, and the train runs off over the frog. Mm-hmm. Frog's fine. They talk to Kokoro, and she's like, "Oh, you need to go to Water 7 because you want to go meet, like, get the best shipwrights in the world.
Because Mary needs
follow the train.
Mary needs her repairs.
Yeah. She's had a rough go of it. And so the log post takes them to Water 7, and she's like, hey, by the way, I know this guy. His name's Iceberg. Tell him I sent you. He'll hook you up. And then they arrive at Water 7. Full disclosure, I looked nothing up on Water 7. I thought what was going to happen is they were going to run into, like, a giant dome, like, tube, and they were going to sail down under the sea because, well, we just went to the sky. We were back on this. The next obvious spot is underwater, and we're just going to knock those two things out real quick. Instead, we get, like, Venice, but if Venice was cool.
Yeah. Venice, but, like, all the roads are just water, and it's, like, pulled by, like, gigantic seahorses.
Yeah, the Yagura's. I super... And they come with just gold, by the way, which... They get there, and I think the people are like, hey, are you guys here to, like, plunder our town? And they're like, no, we need a shipwright. Oh, okay, park your ship over there. Like, kind of keep it out of the town, because pirates, we don't like pirates.
Right.
And they're like, we have a lot of gold. And I like the one guy for the Yagra starts haggling as, like, 10,000, 120,000. He goes, you just heard we have a lot of gold. You keep upping the price. He goes, can't blame me for trying.
It's great. But then we have kind of, like, the crew kind of splitting up. I think it's, like, Luffy, Nami, and Usopp basically go to the shipbuilding company, which is Galila.
They also go to the bank.
And the bank.
The bank was a fun sequence. I liked it.
Uh, Chopper and Robin basically just like go into town just to basically like peruse the different shops. Chopper wants there to be a bookstore. And I think like Zoro decides to stay on the ship, and Sanji I think decides to go out looking for ingredients to cook with.
Yes. Um, yeah, Sanji goes off by himself.
Mm-hmm.
Robin and Chopper, and and I think like bounty hunters go to attack Zoro because he just wants to take a nap on the ship.
Yep.
And this is where we also get the like 300 million or billion berries, so that they can go get their ship fixed.
Right.
And the Frankie family, I think, keeps trying to like attack them and ends up taking some of the money.
I
And
think they first try
Usopp,
for, yeah, they attack Usopp and take the money, basically.
and like Usopp goes to get it all back, and
But-
ends up getting jumped by all of them.
And then while that's happening, Luffy and Nami are talking to the people.
Kaku.
Yes, he's talking to Kaku, and basically kind of getting a report on the ship. Turns out the Mary basically isn't gonna be sailing much longer anyway, and
Its keel is shattered.
its keel is shattered. No amount of repairs could probably fix it. They're better off just buying a new ship, is what they're told.
That
Which-
was heartbreaking and gut wrenching.
Yep.
And I can't remember if this is where. I think it's later, but I'm going to talk about it now because it just it goes
You were
into
spoiled
earlier
on it.
because. No, I wasn't.
Oh, never mind then.
Oh, you're talking about no. I know about that part, but we're talking before that. Skypiea is happening, and the ship is put on the altar of sacrifice. And Usopp comes back, and in the fog he hears like woodworking and saws and something else, right? And he's like, someone's working on our ship, and they get back and they're like, oh, somebody who knew what the ship looked like before it took so much damage, like after I think it was like before it really took any damage during the Crocodile arc and the Alabasta arc.
Right.
It restored it to like pre-damage, like all of the metal braces, anything else Usopp added weren't there. And we learned that if sailors love their ships and treat them as members of the crew, the ship will like manifest a personality and a sprite that will help look after them.
Interesting.
And that's where it looks at Usopp, and like when they're on there, like you see it kind of smile, but you don't know who it is. And it goes, don't worry, I'll carry you guys a little bit further. I want to sail a little bit further with you. And that's why I corrected you. You're like, this ship. And I'm like, no, it's the Mary. Because I went back after they said that. I don't know if they've ever said get back to the ship.
They might have.
Most of the time, they're like, we got to get back to the Mary. Go find the Mary. Like, they might not say the going Mary, but they always refer to the ship as, like, it's the Mary.
Which kind of kind of not maybe not a coincidence that like Mary is actually like a common woman's name, you know? Like phonetically at least.
Yeah, when he comes back, so I love that Kaku goes down there, and one, he's like jumping and flying, and we also see like pirates try not to pay the foreman, and the foreman just decimate them, and I'm like, oh, these are the really cool guys that work super hard, so they're just super strong in their own right.
Pretty much, yeah.
And yeah, Kaku goes down there, and he's looking through, and Zoro wakes up and goes, Usopp? okay, and goes back to sleep because he's got that long square nose.
Yeah.
Um, I thought that was great.
Mm-hmm.
I like how it wasn't until Zoro heard damage happen to the ship that he doesn't wake up, and he goes, "Don't worry,
Mm-hmm.
I'll put her back together, but I have to check things."
Right.
And when he's looking at her, like, whenever we see the Mary, like, you can tell she's got like some stuff here and there, like some scuff,
Mm-hmm.
but she always looks like a good ship. And when you actually see the ship, you're like, oh, you're not in a good way, honey. You're not in a good way at all.
Right.
Um, and even the explanation of like, well, that's okay, just replace all the parts. And they're like, look, you can't ever build the same ship twice because the wood's not the same. Which to me kind of felt like a bit of a cop out, but also the excuse of, well, your family is growing, you're gonna need a bigger ship.
Right. Especially since the Mary was... It was never really meant to be for battle. It's just sort of a ship that was meant to, like, carry people, like, merrily, for lack of a better term. Like, kind of like for vacations and cruising and whatnot. It's not meant to fight. It wasn't meant for the Grand Line. Which may or may not sound like another member of the crew. But we'll get there when we get there.
Something that is not meant to be a battleship and not meant for the Grand Line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was gut wrenching. And so they go to try to get the money back from the Frankie family because Usopp left and did that. So that is now, and just to show you like how pertinent this was, that was Sanji, Luffy,
Zoro, and Chopper. I'm pretty sure. Or no, Chopper. Yeah, Chopper was with them, and then like I think Nami like kind of bandaged up Usopp basically.
And Usopp's like berating himself because he's like, I lost $1 billion. Like, I'm the reason. We'll get to that part later, but they go in there and they lay waste to the Frankie family.
Mm-hmm. They go like they scorched earth.
They destroy everything. The workshop, all of it is destroyed. And I think people are like, well, we always hear commotion from there. And someone's like, yeah, but their home is always standing. It's not standing anymore. And we learn that after like Frankie, like the head of the family, big bro Aniki leaves, and leaves the crew to get his crew and family to get beat up by the core Straw Hats.
Pretty much.
And I guess now we'll tackle all of it. The parts that just kind of go gut wrenching because
first we have Robin, who kind of like separates from Chopper at a certain point after being whispered something by a mysterious man on the street.
Yeah, Chopper's like, hey, here's the bookstore, and goes in, and Robin gets like told like we meet at this dock, and then she leaves, and Chopper like goes running to find her. Finds Sanji, they go running to find her, and they do. And I love that they there's a gulf between them. There's like a canal separating them.
Yep.
And she's like, Cook, Doctor, I need you guys to go tell them, like, I'm not coming back. Get away. Buy your ship and leave.
Yeah. And then she basically kind of disappears for a bit after that.
And Sanji looks at Chopper and goes, hey, Chopper, go find the crew. Go tell them word for word what she said. I'm going after her. And he runs and jumps the canal. And that's kind of all we get from him, too.
Right.
And then Usopp's back on the ship with Zoro and Nami
and Luffy.
and
And
Luffy.
I think Sanji is actually there because Sanji actually does something in like this scene that is like kind of important.
He calms him down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Chopper's also there as well.
Okay, they go run off to find Robin after this.
Right. But
yeah, they Usopp wakes up and is like, "Hey guys, I'm sorry I didn't get it back because the Frankie family already spent that money." And they're like, "We have to go buy a new boat. We can't sail with the Going Merry." And Usopp doesn't take that well, and only takes it as they were lying to you, they were slighting you. This is my fault because we didn't have the money. I'll fix it. How dare you guys get rid of a member of the crew like this? And like the fight also, that's gonna.
It's uncomfortable, this scene, honestly. Just like, you kind of understand like where Usopp is coming from, where it's just like, the Merry is just as much of part of the crew as the rest of us, but you also kind of understand that everyone would rather just like be on a new boat than get on one only for it to like be completely unsaleable after like 5 minutes.
And it's the fact that like we've seen the Merry, like, and it feels like it was an anime thing, but we've seen like the Merry not look well. We've seen the Merry have like a tear in its eye. We've seen it have like
that's in the manga too. Don't worry.
And it's so many points where it's like Oda made such a point to draw the character of this ship that them being like, okay, yeah, we do have to get rid of her. She's like, I hate even saying like we have to get rid of the Merry, because it's not that it's not that they have to get rid of her or they want to get rid of her, or she's literally like on her deathbed and they have nothing they can do to fix her or bring her, like, aside from finding a devil fruit and figuring out how to make the ship eat it. I don't know what they could do to try, because they said like replace the keel, replace all the wood, and they're like, that doesn't make it the same ship, guys. Like, you want the Merry. If we replace, what is this? I think this is Jason and the Golden Fleece is kind of what they're playing off of here, where it's if you have a ship and you replace every part of it, is it the same ship?
Right. And at what point is it in so much disrepair that you're better off just getting a new ship and just putting this one out of its misery? Also, I just noticed on Discord, your mood is like finding a new Merry, and it's like this little girl crying.
Oh, it's Aloy from I'm part of the Horizon Zero Dawn Discord, or Forbidden West Discord, and Fair it's enough. One of those. So yeah. So that's what it is. That's what my Discord is right now. Yeah, and the fact that Zoro's like, if you guys are gonna be this way, because Zoro even goes like, it's my ship, like it was given to me for us to use, and Zoro had, I'm sorry, not Zoro's, Usopp has had so much responsibility for this ship. He has taken care, he doesn't know how, but he's like, I know I can't just let her fall into disrepair. And the G8 arc, the old shipmaster comes up and goes, hey kid, like, I see what you did, but you have to remember, brace these things. You're putting too much strain over here by just patching these holes. Like, there's so many little things that he was like, you've done a good job. You love and care for this ship. And that's why I think the end of that arc was, hey, you guys, we're going to start getting you ready.
Yeah.
And then we go to Usopp's like, well, fuck you, fuck this, I'm out. I'm taking my ship. And Luffy's like, well, I'm the captain, so you kind of have to fight me for it.
But also, before that...
Go ahead.
Before that, even, this is where Sanji's involvement gets like, where Sanji basically gets involved in the scene. Luffy basically is like, you can't really, like, go against my orders as captain. If you are, you might as well. And then Sanji kicks Luffy, going, don't you dare finish that sentence because you will regret it.
Yeah.
So I just kind of wanted to get that in there because, like, holy shit. One, very, very good Sanji moment. Two, it's like, it's sort of one of those moments where it's like, oh, are we actually going to go there? And which isn't going to be the first time for this arc.
Oh, really?
No, not for, or rather this saga, I guess. Maybe.
Okay. Because it is one of those moments too where it's like, hey, don't say things out of anger. If you're really angry, walk away. Walk away. Let it breathe. Come back. Talk it out. Because if once you say something, you can't take it back, and you never want to say something either drunk, high, or angry, because it is going to be, to some extent, how you feel. So that's your life lesson from this arc.
Yep. But
and we've also
still
met Iceberg Sama.
Yes, we have. We're just kind of going all over the place before we get into, like, the big emotional thing. Yeah,
like, so because Ice Sama comes in and talks to them and, like, takes them through the shipyard where they meet Kaku, and you meet, let me go back up and grab all their names real quick because I do have it.
It's like Kaku,
you meet Kaku, Paulie, Rob. And then the two others.
I think one of them is Califa, the woman secretary. Then I'm blanking on the other one. Oh, Bluno?
Yeah,
is it Bluno?
Maybe it's Bluno. And they are they're cool foremen, and that's where we get Kaku coming off. And 10 out of 10 for all the nicknames that Luffy gives Iceberg Sama. Ice Pops will never not be a cool name. And everyone's like, Ice Pops? And he's like, I'm like, no, that should only be how you refer to him now.
Yeah. I love, like, the whole thing with Luffy just giving everybody nicknames because he's terrible at remembering people's actual names.
But you know who it is, and that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
And sorry, I'm trying to go down through where the rest of this goes. But after Usopp leaves, he comes back and they're like, at 10 o'clock tonight, we're going to fight for the fate of the Mary. And Usopp limps off because he is still... I think this is one of the few times where he hasn't had, like... It's actual hurt, not anime hurt.
Right.
And...
like, this isn't pain that, like, you can really just walk off, basically.
Yeah. And he leaves and comes back to fight them at night. And I messaged you and I was like, this hurts. And you're like, what's happening? I'm like, oh, this is, like, you know, they're fighting. And you said, to your credit, you were like, hey, best friends fight. But this fight did not feel like best friends fighting.
It definitely... like, honestly, this is my favorite fight in the entirety of One Piece, because you definitely feel each, like, attack as if it's, like, going straight to your gut.
I think that the other part about this is that we also see that, like, Usopp, while being scared and always feel, because he's not Zoro, he's not Sanji. I don't know what's up with either one of them yet. He's definitely not Luffy.
He's very out of his depth here, but
he throws down a fight.
Yeah. He, like, pulls out, like, as many stops as he possibly can. Like, I remember, like, the like explosion dials from Skypiea he has like on his hand, tries to like get Luffy in point blank range.
He also like he uses like he's like he knows he's injured, so he uses his ketchup star to make it look like he's puking blood, and he looks at Luffy and goes, "You're too weak on your enemies. If someone is trying to hurt you, you need to do more." And like nails him and sets up all the traps and like generally cuts him with the throwing stars, because swords can hurt Luffy. You can cut rubber.
Yep.
And it was one of those times where I'm like, oh, if Usopp needs to fight, not wants to fight, if Usopp needs to fight, he can go all out. It's not just a, oh, well, you know, it's Usopp, here's his fight against, like, haha, gimmick fight. And he even did this with, I think it was with Sanji or Nami during Alabasta when he fought, like, the groundworm things. He shows he is a capable fighter.
He's a capable fighter. He's just physically very weak, and to him, that's like the ultimate weakness for a fighter.
And he fights Luffy. He uses the impact dial, Luffy does Gum Bazooka. Usopp puts it in his impact dial and puts it back on Luffy. But that kind of takes it out of him.
Yeah.
And Luffy beats him in the fight.
But Luffy still lets Usopp keep the ship, since his plan is already, we're getting a new ship.
Yeah. Also, this entire time, there's a special tide coming that's going to sink the island.
Yep.
Totally forgot about that. What is the name of that? Because that was mentioned.
I forget the name of it too. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I'm gonna go back up to the top. Sea Train, the Long Pose, blah blah. Skypiea.
But also, while you're doing that, another like favorite scene of mine is basically just after the fight. You see Luffy very much like wants to cry, while like everybody else is like looking on at the scene before them in horror, except for Zoro, who basically has to tell Luffy, hey, don't cry, don't falter. If you do, who can we trust? And you even see the Mary, basically as it's raining, kind of looks like there's tears coming down her eyes on the mast, which, damn, they really wanted to just sucker that point home.
The Mary's a crew member. She is a character. Just because she doesn't talk doesn't mean it is so evident how much of a character she is, because even Luffy says, like, I think somebody's sitting up on the Mary's head. I can't remember the bow of the ship where he likes to sit, and he's like, that's my special spot. Like, no, this is where I sit. And the Mary, like, I'm pretty sure he's accentuated the smile when he's up there, that like Luffy likes to sit there, because he'll pat the Mary and say, let's go, Mary. And it's these little things, but
yep,
it's like a kid on his bike, like when like somebody young gets their first bike, and it's that first sense of freedom. We got that with the Mary. Oh yeah, I'm processing these emotions in real time. It is the Aqua. It's either the Agua or the Aqua Laguna. The Aqua Laguna.
Aqua Laguna, yeah. Also, if you go back to our first ever episode of the One Piece podcast, I actually did ask you like who your favorite Straw Hat is, and I actually included Mary in that conversation.
I
think you thought like it was weird then, but now it's just sort of like, nope, this girl is on the crew.
And knowing how it's going to end with her, I'm one of those people, guys, who if you hand me a book and say, hey, you should read this, I will read the last page or the last chapter and then go to the beginning, because to me that doesn't diminish how it's going to happen, because I have no concept. I think I saw, like, before anything started, the Mary burning.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, we could be hundreds of episodes in because there were more people there than I had met.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, the Mary goes a good way.
The Mary
in the
goes.
grand scheme of it, yeah. In the grand scheme of things, it's not, but so much has happened.
Mm-hmm.
That the
You're
Mary's
more
been a part
concerned
of.
about like the how we get there, not the like what happened.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is like more like, I know like in Japan like trailers like can like contain spoilers for stuff, and it's like not a big deal to like the Japanese public because they're more concerned with the how and not the what, which is very different from like here in America.
The yeah, it's a very different, like they do care about a lot of
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Phew. Oh, sorry, taking a second.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where we get past, and I think what we'll do here is we're gonna go with the story, and we'll come back to like what happens to Usopp in part of this story as well, because he does get to stay with the Mary. And
Also, fun fact, in the manga, for the volumes, they actually list out like all the characters and give you a brief summary of like what they're all about. And they always have the Straw Hats listed next to each other. However, in the volume that happens after this fight, Usopp is listed as not a Straw Hat anymore.
God, that hurts.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. And I know that there are things that are said like later on, like you can't just let him back in the crew because if anything like this, and Zoro like makes some. Oh.
Yeah. So from this point forward, Usopp is not a Straw Hat anymore. Don't worry, I hate it too.
Oh yeah, it's not even like hate it. It's just like this kind of hurts.
Yeah.
Okay. While this fight is happening, though, the plot or the extra the villain. I don't want to say it's the plot because I realize that the entire thing is the plot.
Yeah, pretty much.
But the non-interpersonal relationship plot happens,
right,
and starts, and that is where Ice Pops is shot
by someone mysterious.
By someone mysterious, and nobody can figure out who it is. And that is where they go, hey, by the way, you guys were sailing with Nico Robin. And they're like, yeah, we were. She's our friend. And that's when it comes out that, like, nope, Nico Robin is the one who shot
Ice Pops.
Iceberg. And
everyone's kind of in disbelief. How could our Robin do such a thing?
We get like a bit of a time skip here, like maybe a couple days, maybe a week.
Right.
Because Luffy like they all go hide in a hotel while everyone's also waiting for the Aqua Laguna to happen. And I'm trying to like remember this because I remember how it like goes through.
There's a lot of moving parts in this arc, so
yeah,
we're gonna be jumbled no matter what happens.
So they like, let me go. So that blah blah. yeah, everyone's out to find Nico, Robin, and all of them, and figure out what's happening. This is where like they like Nico says farewell, and I think Nico goes like, "Hey, I'm incriminating you guys. You guys are being framed for this murder," and that's where, or attempted murder, because he goes into a coma, but he does wake up. But for and Sanji's like, I'm gonna go after her. You go back. You tell them everything. Chopper does, and then they're like, okay, we need to go talk to Iceberg and be like, yo, we don't know what's going on here, but we're gonna get to the bottom of it.
Right.
And they do.
Yeah. Basically, I think they like try to hunt down Robin, and by they I mean I think just Luffy, Zoro, and Nami, and Chopper in this case, since Usopp's like off on his own, and Sanji also is off on his own doing his own little investigation. But they end up in basically the house where basically a bunch of guys in mysterious masks, which they were told were the ones who actually committed the crime. That's where they are. And basically they all basically end up going there, and when they look through the door, Robin is actually one of the people under the mask, while the other members are the people from Galela, who basically would be, specifically, it's Rob Lucci, Califa, Kaku, and Blueno. And when they see that, they realize, okay, Robin was basically being manipulated into doing all of this by what is now called Cypher Pol 9. So a group of government-hired assassins.
Yep, they are the CIA wetwork team. Cypher Pol is really cool. And this
but also,
is where
you can't trust any bitches here.
Oh my god. So, and what ends up happening too to like get to this point is Iceberg is just like, no, we need to kill Robin, right? Mm-hmm. Like there is no if, ands, ors, or buts. She needs to die.
Right.
And it is and you don't really know why, other than she's like
she knows
something, and she's caused the world to burn before. We really don't know what that means either. And you learn that she knows how to make a weapon. Mm-hmm. And at this time as well, we get our flashback to the start of what makes Water 7 so great, because it was a failing island until they started becoming like master shipbuilders.
Right.
And I'm trying to go back to like find that entire
right.
And we get to learn about Frankie's past,
which we haven't really even like spoke about, but like we'll get to him like after this.
Do we want to? Well, because we don't really meet Frankie until, in my personal opinion, until after he kidnaps Usopp and the Going Merry and takes them to his shipbuilding area.
Right. But we'll get to him. But basically, Water 7 used to be like a failing island until we had our shipbuilders here. We had basically Frankie's mentor, Tom, who the Puffing Tom is named after, who also built Roger's ship, by the way. I don't know
which was so cool.
Yeah, the Aura Jackson.
So when the whole thing starts here is like the government comes to the island to prosecute Tom because they're like, hey, your ship which is the ship that Gold D. Roger uses, is bad. Like, you are now held responsible. It'd be like you going to a car. It'd be like you going to, Ferrari and being like, "Hey, did you know one of your cars killed 3 people? You're now going to be like arrested." And it's like, it was so maddening to think about for a moment. But then I'm like, if Gold Roger is as great as he is, and I still don't know anything about him other than he left his treasure behind in one piece. Like, I know that he says that on his, like, up on the guillotine, and is like, I'm gonna die, but fuckers, go find the treasure, go be pirates.
Yeah.
And that's his proclamation on his deathbed.
Yep.
He doesn't have a normal ship.
He does not.
I don't know anything about it, but his ship has got to be cool.
It's really cool. I'll just say that, but not say much else.
Yeah, I know Tom built it, and oh god, what are the? It's not the log pose. That's what Nami uses. What are the runes that Nico's always trying to find?
Oh, the poneglyphs.
The poneglyphs. His ship might have something to do with the poneglyphs.
Maybe.
And a secret weapon that could destroy the world.
That's right.
Anyway, we learn that Iceberg and this other little boy named Frankie are
basically the apprentices to Tom, basically. So they learned everything about shipbuilding from him. Frankie, I think, like, sort of turned out to be kind of a punk, and then Iceberg himself sort of, like, took on the role as, like, the galley law, like, head shipbuilder, basically.
I'm almost surprised that Frankie has blue hair and not having blonde hair.
Maybe.
Because, like, most delinquents, like, in Japan, if you have blonde hair, you're trying to be a Yankee. And Frankie loves himself some loud banging and some rock and roll.
Fun fact, though, basically, Oda often gets asked, like, what real-world country would all of these characters be from? For Frankie, Oda said that he was actually, like, he would actually be American if he existed in real life.
Oh, yeah. If he would have said American, or if he would have actually said British, I would have taken both.
Also, his design is based off of Ace Ventura.
Go ahead and talk for a second. I'm gonna look up an image real quick.
But pretty much, like, Frankie basically went on to be a punk. Kind of robotic punk. Iceberg, he is the head of the galley law, and that is basically kind of like our framing for the history of Water 7, essentially, which I think is, like, a really, like, neat history to have that kind of ties it into, like, the rest of the world and the rest of, like, the lore, essentially. But we see, going back to, like, the present time, where basically our CP9 agents are staring down our Straw Hats, and obviously we gotta have a fight ensue, but it's barely even a fight, because the main one, Rob Lucci, who previously was a mute character who spoke only through a pigeon that, like, was perched on his shoulder at all times, starts talking and basically says how he is basically going to, like, decimate Luffy and crew, which he does by using his devil fruit.
Before we get to that,
okay,
because the people that attacked, right? The Robin and her cohorts, the people who attacked, kind of say, "Hey, we're going to attack him again." And so they're like, "You know what we're going to do? We're going to get everyone to Galila. We're going to put our 4 foremen right there at the front of it all." And Paulie gets called in to talk to Iceberg, and Iceberg goes, "Hey, buddy, I kind of love you like a son. I need you to go over here in this room. You're going to find a safe. There's going to be something in there. And it cuts out. And the foremen leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens is Iceberg gets, like, sends Paulie away.
Mm-hmm.
And then the attack happens.
Yes.
And we come out. And like the foremen kind of get spread out a little bit. The Straw Hats are trying to also invade, so it's like happening at the same time. But what ends up happening is we come on the scene where all the foremen are murdered in front of the door to protect Iceberg, and the guys are already through the door.
Yep.
And they're in there talking to Iceberg, and Nico Robin is the only one with her mask down. And oh boy, was that like a terrifying like sequence, because when we saw the foreman and we saw pirates, and they, of course, the pirates were of unknown strength, but everyone gathered around to watch the foreman beat up these pirates.
Yep.
Like it was a typical Sunday show.
Mm-hmm. They don't like pirates in Water 7.
And the foremen do very minimal damage, and they beat them with tools, and then they go back to work. So now they're all just dead in front of this door.
Yep.
And it's not until Luffy comes in and breaks through everything that we start to see that that like, hey, something's going on here. And we this is where we get the real backstory. Lucci takes it off. Rob Lucci takes it off. Kafka takes it off. One of the other guys, the big strong guy there, takes it off with the ox horns. And
Bruno.
I want to say Caulifla, but that's not the right anime.
Califa. It's a similar name,
Califa.
so Califa, yeah.
And that's where we learn that, oh wait, these guys have been implants from the federal or from the government to find out the weapon.
Yep.
And so we learned that
really
much about
good
it.
heel turn, honestly.
Hey, so for those of you guys who don't know, we've also just been playing through Jade Empire. And your good sweet master who you watch get killed early on turns out to be the real villain the entire time. So this was like the third time this has happened to me recently, where it's like, the people you trust, no, they're not good guys. They're betrayers. And so that's what this felt like. I was like, are you this is happening to me again? And
you can't catch a break, can you?
I can apparently I just can't pick them. I can't pick my anime things. And you learn that it's because of what happened years ago with this secret weapon thing is why they're here. And this is where we get like the flashback where Frankie was building battleships. Tom was going to make the Puffing Tom because then he could take people from like 3 different islands, I think. Along to the end of the island had to be the Enos 7, which all I know is a jail. And they build the Puffing Tom. Frankie starts to take shipbuilding seriously and actually starts to learn from Tom. And Iceberg, and this is where we also learn that Kokoro was Tom's wife.
That's right.
And that's why she says, like, go find Iceberg, tell him, like, he owes me one. Because I think she even recognizes Monkey D. Luffy.
Because of Goldie Roger.
Yes. And we also start to learn really how strong, like, when all this is happening, the CP9 members attack Usopp and Frankie when Usopp's been kidnapped. And Frankie tells Usopp, hey, your ship is dead. It cannot be saved. You need to stop working on it. And he does it for seeing Frankie be this loud, obstinate asshole. He is so kind to Usopp.
He is very kind.
And so they go there, they capture Frankie, and they capture Usopp, and take them. This is after like they've already beaten the crap out of, like you said, Luffy, and we get to see the devil fruit of Lucci.
Yep, he gets to turn into a leopard.
And I thought, and so the reason I asked early on, like, hey, how did the whole the devil fruits work? Because I thought he said that these are the strongest because we can get more and more things like the animal.
Honestly, One Piece power scaling is all over the place, so
okay,
I wouldn't worry too hard about it. But I think, yeah, the classification is Logia is strongest, then Zoan, then Paramecia.
Okay,
just on average, I guess.
And it was pretty insane for that fight, because once again, Luffy and Zoro bust into that room and then get shot out like they were nothing. And they kind of get the classic thing of, oh hey, we're stuck. The heroes, of course, are stuck in a spot. But I love the actual reasoning behind this. Because when they go into the room and Paulie confronts them, Luffy's with Paulie and is like, no, we can defeat them. These guys aren't that strong. And we get to see like the huge betrayal reveal. And Robin's like, Luffy, what are you doing here? Zoro, I told you guys to not be here. I do like how when the reveal happens that Kafka looks at Iceberg and goes, hey, just because we're spies doesn't mean we were shirking our duties. We did do good work for you. We did our job well.
Yeah. I still expect my paycheck on Monday.
And so we also get to learn, going back to like the time in the past where Tom builds the Puffing Tom in reprimand for in reprimand for building Goldie Roger's ship. And the judge was going to be like, hey, he did good work. I've ridden on that train. That train is great. But the spy who wants him from CP5, Spandam,
yeah.
Evil, creepy, like, I'm waiting for him to turn into the Joker guy, is like, oh, we can't have this. I still want him. He still has that weapon. We need to know how to get it. So he takes all of Frankie's old ships and battleships and attacks the Royal Magistrate ship with them. Frames Frankie, frames Tom, frames Iceberg. And I love the overall message, because Frankie's like, my ships were terrible. And he says something like, I'm so upset with this. And Tom turns around, rips a harpoon he's not supposed to be able to get out of himself out, and goes, how dare you not take pride in something you've built?
It's a really
and like
good
knocks
message.
Frankie out with it. And I don't know if did they kill Tom? Was that confirmed? Nope, Tom is taken out on the sea train.
Yeah.
And now this, like, oh, this is why Kokoro has such a drinking problem.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you watched your entire family destroy itself, and then the love of your life get, killed, taken away.
Yeah.
Frankie kind of became a delinquent because he didn't know how to process this. And
he literally tried to like stop the train by like getting in front of it.
Yeah.
And got run
and then
over.
you learned that's how he became a cyborg.
Yeah, pretty much. Which we haven't really touched on Frankie that much. I kind of feel bad for him.
I think like this is where Frankie, because he goes to look for the Straw Hats to fight Luffy for beating up his family.
Yeah, and you get like that really like cool like introduction for him in that like dance number.
Yeah, and I love the fact that the two girls that are with him have to walk sideways in the wind or they get blown away, and they literally say that and do it.
It's great.
And like Frankie, because I think he even says like I did all these surgeries and operations on me myself, except for his back, because he couldn't reach there, so his back is still, it is still human, and it's,
Yep.
It's.
There's still parts of him that are human.
Oh yeah. But then like when he fights like Usopp or Luffy and he like shoots at them and you see his like hand open up and he like has like in his giant forearms like a machine gun.
Yeah. And people just are like, is he a devil fruit user? What the hell? How do you do that?
I didn't want to message you about that. Like, did he eat the robot fruit or something? Like, I was like, no, Chris, that's dumb. Why would Oda, who's created all these things, make a Terminator like devil fruit? Frankie, you're right. I think Frankie, like underneath like Chopper, it'd probably be really close to like a favorite, or if not the favorite by the end of this.
Maybe. I don't know. I've been thinking about it. I think, like, given some time, Frankie might actually be your favorite character for certain reasons that I'm not going to go into.
I mean, he does have a pretty dope pirate flag.
Yeah.
I was looking up his Jolly Roger.
His Jolly
decal.
Roger. Yeah.
It's a good one.
I love Frankie's like Jolly Roger.
And like showing him as a kid, like being friends with Iceberg, and then realizing he actually had a different name too.
Cuddy Flam.
Cuddy Flam, and
but we don't dead name people here. I'm sorry.
What's dead name?
Dead naming is like typically like if you meet a trans person, whatever their current name is like their actual name. The name that they had before they started transitioning is their dead name.
Oh, okay.
So like if I were to, so like if I were to like come out right now and say my name's actually Mary, then Mark would be my dead name. Mary is my actual name.
Okay, that's cool.
The more you know. Don't dead name people, kids.
Like, it kind of sounds like horribly violent in a way, and that's why I was like, can we clarify that one? That you were telling me about that with Yamato? Is her name?
His.
Their name?
His, but yeah. Basically,
Okay.
Yamato is his name, but that's like a different like can of worms that we'll get into like probably like 5 years from now.
I just remember like talking about that and you were like, nope, actually this is their name, but you're not there yet.
Yeah, I just didn't want you to like, because I don't know like how much you hang around like anime spaces like online and whatnot, but like that's like kind of a huge deal. So I didn't want you to like get yelled at just because you're kind of like a new One Piece fan who hasn't even met like these characters yet. But
that design though,
oh, it rules.
It's such a good design. But back to Frankie's design. It literally says back to. I have the One Piece wiki up. That way I can also know where I'm at too.
Awesome.
This is where the CP9 says, "Okay, we have everything we want. We have the plans." They go kidnap Frankie, learning that he's Cuddy Flam. And they also take Nico Robin because she's the other side of this.
Yes.
And I think this is where we learn. So they get taken away, and they threaten Nico Robin with, "We have been given permission to use the Buster Call for this mission."
Ooh.
And the Buster Call aside from showing Nico as a child in a burning city that no longer exists, is where all 4 admirals have to converge on that one space, and it almost sounds instantaneous.
It might be instantaneous.
And if Akioji is... Because he's one of them
Aokiji.
that comes, right?
Yeah.
Akiji. He froze the ocean, and the place that Nico was at was on fire. And she's the only person that has seen a Buster Call happen and lived.
That's correct.
Girl has some PTS, and now a lot of things make sense.
Yeah, she really does. Probably the most tortured soul in this entire series.
Does she have her own? Do it in 1 second.
Does she have her own what?
Robin, Jolly Roger.
All of them have their own Jolly Roger.
I mean, that doesn't... Okay, I have one criticism of Nico Robin.
Yeah, I know what it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I'm sad I looked at that.
Yeah. It sucks. I love her, but I don't like her Jolly Roger at all.
I was waiting for a book, anything. Yeah, so now that whole fight with... let me pull up his name because... Aokiji?
Yes.
I don't know why I keep on adding on weird things. Aokiji, his strength and just him bodying Luffy like nothing matters now makes so much more sense. And he was terrifying in that moment. And to know there are only 4 admirals, right?
Yes.
So to understand that we have 4 admirals that could, on their own, without having to... I don't think he had to fight Luffy the way he did. I think he could have just stood there and ended it.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious that, like, Aokiji was not taking that fight seriously at all.
And I am... Yeah, I want him to take the sleep mask off, not just cover his, like, to put it on his forehead. I want it to come off for these fights. And that is... So now we know, hey, Robin knows what's going to happen, and she does not want that to happen to the Straw Hats, so she leaves the crew, that way they can't do that to her.
Right.
Like, it feels like the bigness, technically I'm not part of them type of deal. But also, like, Water 7, if that goes away, and it's already going away due to the Aqua Laguna, like, that is... Oh, that is terrifying.
Yeah.
And so at this point, everything comes out. CP9 takes them away. And they go get on the Puffing Tom train.
Yeah.
Sanji shows back up and is like, I don't know who these guys are. That's Nico. And girl, do I love her. And he goes after them on the train as well. Nami figures out everything that's happened from Iceberg. They go find Zoro and Luffy.
And...
If there's ever a point in this show where I have to now say, oh, this is how strong they are. Nami goes back and goes, hey guys, Robin was doing it to protect us. She, like, bad things were going to happen and she couldn't let that happen to us. She loves us. And then Luffy's like, oh, so we need to go save our friend. She is our friend. And and Nami's like, yeah, you were right. And he's like, okay, pushes 2 buildings apart. Stuck here for 4 episodes, pushes them apart. And then goes, Zoro, get your head out of the chimney. It's so cool.
Yeah. When Luffy's, like, power goes up exponentially when he knows, like, somebody that he loves is in danger. Which I know is, like, kind of, like, super, like, generic anime, but, like, here, I just love it. It just suits him very well, and I want to get Robin back as much as he does. Actually, probably not as much as he does because he is her captain, and goddamn does he want to get her back. But man, I love Luffy so much. He's just always perfectly characterized.
And it's so great that it's like, he said that they were weak, and when he got beaten like that, I was like, oh, don't be like Vegeta and go. It's like, no, he said that they were weak. He wasn't wrong. He was just in a position where it's like, I can win, but it's kind of like the one thing that Boruto does so well is in the very beginning when evil space moon aliens are attacking.
What the fuck happens in Boruto? I swear to God.
Yeah, but Boruto looks at Sasuke and goes like, I thought my dad was supposed to be super strong. Blah, 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 blah. He's a pushover chump. And Sasuke looks at him and goes, he's stopping a cataclysmic event. He's healing people with his energy, and he's protecting everyone else. What the fuck else do you want him to do? Like, you can't do any of those one things by yourself.
Yeah.
And he's doing them all at the same time. That's what it felt like, just done well in One Piece.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
it's great.
Then it's the race to the train. And this is where I love and hate Sanji, because Sanji leaves a note for Nami.
Yep.
And it's like, hang on 1 second. They're like, why? She's like, half of this is a stupid love letter, and I have to read through that to find the information. And I like that it gives you parts of the love letter. I was like, okay, Sanji, you're annoying me, but at the same time.
But while that's all going down, we actually do get to follow Sanji and his escapades on the Puffing Tom that's already taken off.
Yes, they don't. So Sanji gets on the Puffing Tom. Usopp's on the Puffing Tom with Frankie, and so is Nico. But the rest of the crew doesn't make it on time, so they have to take the Rocket Man.
Yep. Burning
which
up
is
she's up here alone.
The design for that one is great, and I love that Coco's like, I can turn it on and get it going. Iceberg goes and fixes it so that way it'll run on the track.
Yep.
And they're like, "We'll stop the thing," and she goes, I told you I could get it going. You don't stop it. You don't control it. It just goes."
Like a rocket.
And go ahead.
I was just saying that's like a rocket, kind of.
Yes. And that's where we get the Frankie families like, we're gonna do this. The Straw Hats, of course, and then Paulie are like, let's go get these guys back. We're gonna go to the Enos lobby, and we're gonna go do this thing. We're gonna stop them before they get there.
Yes.
And yeah, so then we can jump over to probably the best. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably my favorite part of the entire arc.
That's honestly extremely fair. The train fights are like very fun, I think.
I don't even care about the train fights. There is one reason that I love it.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. So basically, we have like some train fights, but we can like skip past that to get to the point where Sanji basically is able to free Usopp and Frankie.
Yeah, just to give Sanji his due, his fight with Wanzi, the ramen chef.
Yep.
And the fact that Sanji like uses his knives and goes, "Hey, you know you're a third-rate cook with fourth-rate ingredients, but you have good knives." And he goes, "I don't use knives or swords because you take care of those to prepare your food. That's why he only uses his feet." And I was like, "Oh, there is like everything else is to make food because that's what you are. You're a chef, and you can't use that weird moral code, but but I'll live with it. But I like that he uses the knives to like carve up his ramen armor. Although really gross to do ramen noodles out the nose.
Yeah, it's a
weird fight.
Yeah, very weird fight. But after that fight, we do get to rescue Usopp and Frankie.
Yes. And Usopp's like, hey, this isn't my fight anymore. I know that we all like Nico, but deuces, I'm out.
He's cowardly.
And Frankie's like, you coward. And he leaves. So now Frankie and Sanji have to go up the way to like fight through more cars of people to try to get to Nico and the CP9 guys. But, you know, as one person leaves, I'm so glad that somebody else can come in to help the Straw Hats in their time of need.
Exactly.
Soga King!
Love him so much.
I thought he came in so much later in the series. Soga King comes in. We get a whole new title card opening. And it is a Sentai. It is an Ultraman send-up.
Yep. I think
I messaged you like...
Yeah, you messaged me just like... I am fucking about this. I love Soga King. Could he possibly be, like, your favorite character? Usurping Chopper?
He might be... But, so, here's the deal. He might be a favorite character, but Usopp's my favorite Straw Hat. Or, I'm sorry, Chopper's my favorite Straw Hat.
Fair. Very fair.
Soga King's not a Straw Hat.
Fair. He isn't, technically.
But I love that we get the whole new opening and title card anytime he's doing something, which, by the way, I love the fact that he does do things.
Yes.
It wasn't just a cheap little gimmick. He is integral to, like, hey, let's cut off this car so we don't have to fight all these people. Let's go over the roof. Let's use octopus sandals to, like, sneak around and be stealthy. And the fact that anytime that he's doing something, he's singing his own theme song.
It's so good. Like, Oda honestly cooked with Soga King, honestly.
And I... Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
And to the people out there who might also be, like, listening to this for the first time, yes, I know that Soga King is Usopp.
I didn't know that.
But just the fact that he commits to the bit
so much. It's really good. And you're gonna see more of Soga King, don't worry.
And I think I also love the fact that this is also Usopp saying, like, he's coming to realize, like, nothing was done out of malice towards the Mary.
Yeah.
And I think he's still trying to, like, make reparation for how he acted.
He is. He can't face the crew, but Soga King can.
Yeah. From you know, the Island of Snipers. And I like how some people are like, yeah, there's a weird masked guy, but the prisoners escaped. I think the masked guy is one of the prisoners, but I can't tell. And everyone else is like, he knows he's not full. And Sanji's like, let him have it. It's been a rough day. Just he's Soga King. He needs this man. Let him cook.
Yeah. God, I love Soga King.
Oh my god.
And I think, like, I immediately messaged you, like, by the way, here is just a clean version of, like, the Soga King, like, opening title card, basically. And you're just like, oh, thank God. Please tell me they bring this back. And I'm just like, I think they do actually bring it back again.
And it's one of those things where I'm waiting, because we haven't had it yet, to get, like, because we've started getting the new stingers with the spy glasses. And I loved Usopp's new one with the darts. Chopper had a cool one. Finally got to see Nico's towards the end of the arc. Like, they held off on showing hers. Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that. The spyglass like scene transitions.
Oh
Love
yeah,
them.
the eye catchers, as it were.
Yeah, I don't know if I
love
like them more than the wanted posters.
There's more of a novelty to the eyeglass ones because I will say right now they switch it up quite a bit, and the wanted posters do come back for quite a bit, but they never bring back the eyeglass ones. So
Yeah,
I
like
don't
because
know.
it's like Luffy's shirt's drying. You see a nectarine and pinwheel for Nami. Chopper, it's a mortar pestle and some medicine. Nico, it's her
Zoro's
books.
swords.
And Sanji is like he pushes it down. It's like a dessert spread, I think.
It's like a soup, I think. I don't know, but it's like food.
Yes.
And Usopp is like a little dartboard where he throws 3 darts and he hits it.
Yes. I love that. I thought it was really cool.
It's really neat. And get used to it because you're sticking with these for a while.
Yeah, and for those of you guys who know, like we're I know it's going to be a longer podcast because we're covering a lot.
Yeah,
I stopped.
I had to.
I stop at the Enos when they get to Enos. Like I think I stopped halfway through that episode where it's like I saw it and I was like, okay, we're just stopping here.
Yeah, because like if you like went through all of Ennie's lobby on top of these, this would be like a 6-hour podcast.
Yeah, we're going to be hitting like 2.5.
Yeah.
So even talking about though, like going back to the story itself, Sanji fights Wanzi, and then Frankie fights Nero.
Yes.
Who are trying to become CP agents, like Bueno, Kafka, Kafla, and what's his name?
Kaku? Or
No,
Rob
not
Lucci?
Haku. Rob Lucci. They're like their names are starting to come together now. And so everyone who's aspiring to be it, the swordsman is where Soga King comes in and he's like, hey, we'll just disconnect the car and leave it back there. Because there's a swordsman who wants to like do that. And he ends up like cutting through a fish, and that's who Zoro kills.
Yes.
Then we have Nero gets beaten by Frankie because Nero has to use guns because he hasn't perfected the bullet finger, which is terrifying. And Soga King decides, hey, I'm going to sneak around and go up into Nico's car, and he's like, I'm going to talk to Robin. And we're going to get her out of here, and I'm going to return her to the Straw Hats, and then I'm going to go back to Sniper Island.
Yes. And you do get this really good like conversation between the two where Soga King kind of just admits, like, I regret some of the things that I may have done, but we're here to, like, get you out. Don't worry. And most importantly, believe in Luffy.
Also, you didn't kill Iceberg. He's still alive. You're not a murderous monster. Like, we get that. Yeah. And I like that someone comes in to check on him, and he hides. It's so weird how this works, because he hides under her cloak, which he doesn't take the mask off. So Robin's hair changes, and he's like behind her. So it's like, is she sitting on his lap? How is this working? His arms are through the sleeve, and she's like, he's just like touching her face, and like it's so silly.
It's so silly.
And he's like making like hand signs, like trying to like be like, trying to do things. And after all this, he does get called out, and like they get captured again, and they're like, "No, you're on your way to Enos 7," and you learn that the Straw Hats will not catch up to them. Will not catch up to them in time.
Right.
And the sky, like after all that happens, the sky opens up. It's beautiful, and
you see Annie's hobby.
Yeah, and that's where I stopped.
Right.
Um,
So, oh boy, how emotional are you? How emotionally ready are you for what's coming up?
I'm excited for Enos Lobby just because it led itself off at at a portion of like where it's like, okay, we like I'm trying to think how to best put this. Like, one, I like that it's like, okay, we've learned that they're not all perfect at communicating, so they get to be better. Right. We also we've gotten to now see like everyone kind of come into their own. Like Usopp, even like fighting Luffy. Like, I'm excited to see your character development. I'm excited to after like the G8 arc with Chopper being like, like being a doctor. I'm excited to see him, and I want to see the crew now fight for what they believe in together. And we've seen portions of that, but I think this will be the first time where we see it all happen. Like, we're gonna go save one of our own, and it's gonna be like, hey, do you remember Arlong Park? And we're all like, yeah, that was really cool. I think Enos Lobby is gonna be like, okay, what if Arlong Park, but everyone's better?
Right. You're not like too far off. There's definitely going to be like some parallels to be made with Arlong Park and Enies Lobby when you get through it. But yeah, I'm excited for what you have coming up. But also, again, gonna say this right now, don't watch in public.
Oh, I think it should be nice to tell you that I have to go on travel next week, and that's what I normally do at the airport.
God fucking damn it, dude.
So, just so you guys know, it is Cinco de Mayo when we're recording this, so happy Cinco de Mayo.
And tomorrow's Luffy's birthday.
Oh, is it?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm pretty sure his birthday is May 6th, I'm pretty sure. I'd have to, like, check that. But it's May 6th in Japan right now, I'm pretty sure. And it's May 6th because a way to say 5-6 in Japanese is gomu.
Gomu Gomu being gum gum.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, happy birthday, Luffy. This podcast, guys, for you will come out on the 11th. And if the next one is, if the next arc is anything like the Water 7, I will be through it I will probably blitz through it, and so Mark will be back far sooner to talk about talk about some Enos Lobby.
A little bit sooner, because like I kind of want you to like look like at where you are and kind of imagine like a big red button that just says like emergency podcast episode. You might need to like press that one time, like sometime during like this arc, which I would be down for, but like some stuff is going to happen. You're going to be like, no, I can't wait to be done with this arc. I need to like actually talk to you about this shit specifically. Because there's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, this one was a long arc, and I know we still condensed it. So 263 is where I stopped.
Right.
264 will be where I start again. So yeah, it'll probably be 264. Nami has the hat. Okay, we can't look at these thumbnails.
Yeah, no, you can't.
But I will totally probably do that because this looks really, really cool.
It is.
Yeah, so everyone out there, if you want your friend to get into One Piece, just pester the crap out of him.
Yeah,
and then promise to watch Gundam. Thank you so much for joining me for this one yet again, Mark.
Thank you for having me here. I'm still like writing my articles. I should have my next. I took a bit of a break from writing my big long Jojo article. Part 1 is already out. Part 2, it should be out like soon, but I had to like take a couple months away from it because I had to like do some stuff for work, basically. But
oh yeah, I figured you were work.
Yeah, I had to like lock in for work, basically. But yeah, you can find my articles on Medium. I'll probably like give Chris here something to like put in the description. So if you're watching, on
I actually have your Medium from last time, so I can pull
okay,
that up
baller.
depending on where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep your stuff. I know exactly where to find you. I have you bookmarked.
Thank you. Oh, I feel so special now.
But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Go ahead and follow Mark as well on Twitter on Organization13.
Yes.
For your hot takes on Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door.
Hell yeah.
And a couple other things. And yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you very much.